let's try this again. I'll say Mechanist here one more time. Okay, and let's see. Behind me, as you can see, we are currently in the commissary. This is the museum that is dedicated to the history of the lumber mill that the museum is based out of, plus the history of logging itself, and the forestry industry the forestry industry as well. As you can see, I'm trying to angle this properly so that you can actually take a look at some of the signs, which, even though in my view it looks like it's reversed, it should be right side up for you guys, I hope. As you can see, yeah. Let's see, sawmills transform large and small logs into lumber. Let's see, engineered wood products, paper, veneer, plywood, lumber, the carbon cycle. There's basically a lot of interesting stuff around here. Even, let's see, wood chips. Even have a bit of a replica of the commissary. No surprise, it'd be where you'd get your food and you'd get food and whatnot and stuff to cook with. Well, naturally, they got a replica of a sort of like a grocer here in the commissary. Let's see. Don't want to lose nothing. Okay. Treated wood, turpentine. Alrighty, so let's see. When the Great Depression kicked the economic legs out for most of the nation, the timber industry was slightly boosted by civilian conservation corps contracts. In Louisiana alone, the Corps erected 3,000 bridges and 18 lookout towers and completed a survey of the types of timber within the state's 13.8 million acres of forest land. But at the sawmills like Longleaf, the Depression was keenly felt. As railroad lines were abandoned, wages were cut, and workers were reduced to shifts of less than 6 hours a day. Yellow pine for a world war. In fact, actually, that's a bit of an interesting bit here. This sawmill, in fact, many others like it here in Louisiana, they were used for the construction of Higgins boats, the wooden wonders that ferried Allied soldiers onto the shores of places like Omaha Beach and D-Day, Iwo Jima in the Far East, and various other amphibious landings that the Higgins boats were a part of. This actually makes it a very interesting bit of history and a very interesting place to visit if you are keen on that sort of thing. After all, you cannot tell the story of World War II without the story of the Higgins boats, which were so vital in so many amphibious operations. And let's see if I can turn the camera the right way. This interesting device, I believe, if I'm correct, that is actually called I believe that device is known as the Clyde Skidder. Basically, and we'll actually be seeing the real thing here shortly, but bit of interesting bit for it. Apparently, this was before the age of cranes, heavy lifting, and 18-wheelers. So, how do you get the trees felled in the forest to the sawmill? Well, the answer to that is very simple. You get a Clyde Skidder, which is sort of a crane on rails. Basically, the gist of the idea is that the skidder is maneuvered on a siding close to where the lumber is cut. Heavy-duty chains are wrapped around the skidder, or heavy-duty chains from the skidder are wrapped around the tree, and then the skidder pulls the tree towards the train where it is then loaded, and then thanks to the railway running perpendicular to the sawmill, and case in point, the drop-off, the lumber is then offloaded from the train to the sawmill. Now then, okay, I was a little bit premature on the other side, so let's see. Okay, here we are. So yeah, Longleaf the mill. So this basically started in 1892. 1892, this lumber mill was constructed by the Crowell and Spencer Lumber Company. And the town was named Longleaf for the great stands of virgin longleaf pine. See? It says so right there. Empire Sawdust. To support the expanding production, the Red River and Gulf Railroad began carrying freight from Longleaf to Lecompte in 1905. In 1910, a fire destroyed the original single circular blade sawmill, but the owners quickly rebuilt. The new double mill, with both a circular saw and a band saw, had a daily capacity of 75,000 board feet. Up to 350 workers, worked in a variety of physically challenging and often dangerous jobs. Like dozens of sawmill towns in the area, the town of Longleaf sprang up near the mill to accommodate the employees and their families. An empire of sawdust, 1910 to 1919. This actually talks a lot about the Red River and Gulf Railroad. Let's see, or the RR and GR. It was initially comprised of a single locomotive and 2 flat cars and a caboose. And it traveled through woods increasingly populated with section camps, turpentine camps, and sawmills. Additional tracks were laid in Rapides Parish to extend the railroad 9 miles northwest to Bliss and 11 miles southeast to Meridian. The Longleaf Baptist Church for white mill employees and their families was constructed in 1914 to replace an earlier church which served both Baptists and Methodists on alternate Sundays until it was destroyed by fire. Fire seems to be a big problem with a lot of structures. Well, me being a volunteer fireman, I know that better than anyone else. Together with the Mount Zion Baptist Church, built in 1888 for the black congregation prior to the establishment of the town of Longleaf, the churches were first of several built on the mill site. As you can see, let's see. Actually, they've got some pictures here of some of the locomotives used. This one, a 440 number 104, and this is actually a locomotive bell that was once housed on one of the locomotives. That was once used on one of the locomotives, so that's a bit interesting. Let's see. Now then, moving on to the next is the 1920s, the year that heralded the Roaring Twenties. As the 20th century's third decade dawned, the new technology that was turning the world around was also making its impact within the timber country of central Louisiana. At Longleaf, an electric generator supplied not only power to the sawmill, it also provided new amenities such as lighted tennis courts within the town. The Longleaf Telephone and Telegraph Company began offering services helping to connect the sawmill communities along the Red River and Gulf Rail route. Let's see, it looks like a bit of a replica of a shipping roster. Actually, yeah, they do have the shipping roster. It's actually got some records in there. So best to avoid it. Not actually, flipping through it. Let's see, early expansion, 1920 to 1929. During Longleaf Sawmill's busiest decade of 1920 to 29, the expansionist policies of the mill's owners led to holdings of 61,533 acres of prime timber throughout central Louisiana. This led to the expansion of the Red River and Gulf Railroad. The expansion was actually about 39 miles to Kurthwood in Vernon Parish and gave the railroad a total of 75 miles of track on its main line. It is at this point that the rail also began offering passenger services. Let's see. Oh, it's all right. I see you're one of the volunteers here.
Yeah, I'm the archivist here.
Okay, is Jacques here today?
I'm not sure. Mr. Doug is up there. If you ask for Mr. Doug, he can tell you.
All right, where's Mr. Doug at?
Right up there at the front desk.
I only know most of you. I only know some of you guys through Discord. I'm not actually,